Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus video. Today we're going to be taking a look at two versions of Gauntlet for the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Sega Master System. The first one we're going to be taking a look at is the Sega Master System version of Gauntlet. As you can see, here's the case picturing all of our heroes, the wizard, the archer, the warrior, and the Valkyrie. They look kind of cartoony on this cover. This was released in 1990 by US Gold. Only in Europe, mind you, which is honestly kind of strange that this only came out in Europe, but luckily enough it works on my power-based converter with my Model 1 American Sega Genesis. As you can see, here's the manual. It's just a very plain manual with just about every language known to man in it, but it's really cool. And if you see here, I have the cartridge already in the Sega power-based converter. So, I'm going to take the camera off the tripod here. Let's take a look. All I have to do, of course, is flip the switch here. And the game comes right on. So let's get right into this. And as you can see, it has the same logo on the title screen as you would see in the arcade. Well, the font is fairly similar. It's a little bit different. And of course, you have your choice of the 4 characters. So just like in the arcade version, I chose the Valkyrie. And just like Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic 2, the screen has this border around the side, just like it did for those games. And I'm guessing that's because this is a PAL format game. Although, I have no problem at all running this on my TV, so that's a pretty cool thing. And you'll notice already that graphically, this emulates the arcade version quite well, considering you're dealing with quite a lesser console compared to the arcade hardware. And there were actually a lot of times where I actually went to that door, and I accidentally let all those ghosts go, and they were about to all kill me at once. And of course, one thing you'll notice in absence of is the voice of the guy going, "Treasure, 100 points." Because the only voice sample in here is when you choose your character, he'll go like, "Welcome, Valkyrie. Welcome, Elf. Welcome, Wizard," or "Welcome, Warrior." And he tends to say it really quick. I'm guessing it's a fairly small voice sample because, you know, the 8-bit consoles really couldn't do that much voice. There were a couple games here and there, like I remember in a AVGN video he showed some sort of Bible game. I think it was Joshua, where the guy's like, "Be courageous, Joshua." And then there was like some sort of Sesame Street game where the Count was talking. But yeah, you don't see voice too often in an 8-bit system, but it's still kind of cool to have it here now and then. The only thing I have to say comparing this to the arcade version is, since I can't just press like a coin and get more health, I find myself playing a lot more strategic and a lot less I don't really care what happens, because in this game, once you run out of health, you're going to die no matter what. You're not going to have that chance to just save yourself really quick by just pressing a button really quick. And one thing that's kind of weird about this is whenever you shoot the enemy, you have this like rapid fire effect, so it just makes it, in a sense, a little bit easier. But since it's really a survival thing, it's really not as easy as you'd think. Now this stage I thought was kind of weird. I didn't quite understand why I guess it's kind of a bonus stage, but there still is the bonus stage later in the game as well. Now, most of the stages are fairly accurate to the arcade version, but there are some stages that are like pretty different, like that one you just saw was different from the stage 8 in the arcade version. But you know, when it came to any of these home versions of arcade games, they kind of had to take their liberties when it came to limitations of the console. And considering when it comes to like the sound department, it might not be the best, but it's fairly close to the arcade, and really doesn't sound too bad. But it's still not the best aspect of this game. The best aspect of this game on this system is the gameplay and the graphics, in my opinion. It just works in both of those fields, and especially if you had a second player to play this with, it would just be a very fun time. And you can see all the characters represented. There's the ghosts, there's the grunts, There are the demons who are there. They'll shoot you if you don't get them, like I keep getting them right away in this video. And the cool part is you can actually see quite a few enemies on screen at once, which you'd think with like a 8-bit console it would be like maybe like 10 enemies and then the game starts to lag, which is another thing that's nice, that this game really doesn't lag much at all, which is definitely good when it comes to anything that's like really action-based. It's never fun to have a game that's like really lagging really bad. And here are all the sorcerers. They still kind of de-res a little bit like they did in the arcade, but it's not nearly as annoying as it was, because in the arcade they de-res so much that sometimes like a sorcerer could just like come from behind you and you're like, where did he come from? I thought I killed all the sorcerers. Oh, and here's me not realizing that the door was earlier, and going further really didn't do anything. So I'm going to take the long way around here, so this is kind of boring. See, there's the door. I didn't see it as I was coming by, I just went right by. And now this is similar to the arcade's treasure room. And just like in the arcade, the sound effects are minimal, because all you can hear is like a little click sound when I take the treasures. But I figured here I'd grab a few more since I had a few seconds left, so since it wasn't a big deal. I didn't know if there was any penalty for not going in the door, so I figured I would, since wouldn't be a bad idea. And of course, the good thing about Gauntlet in general is that there are a lot of warps that you can warp into a different stage, because on the back of the game it lists that there are 512 stages in this game, so if there's no ability to warp, it's going to take you a long time if you plan to finish this, which I wouldn't doubt there's probably somebody out there who probably has finished Gauntlet, but I imagine they have a lot more patience than I do. And if you heard that little sound, that was a lobber throwing something at me. He was over there behind all those demons. There are a few lobbers. There's not as many as the arcade version. If you look up there, there's Death. He's kind of got a like weird green outline. Not quite sure why, but my character's about to die here, so I was surprised I was actually able to get kill Death before I died. But instead of like starting over with the same character, I figured I would show you some other gameplay. Like, here's going to be the warrior. Now, one thing I noticed in this, just like the arcade version, is even though it says that the certain characters are supposed to be faster, you really don't notice that. The only thing you really notice is that certain characters will hit a bit harder than others. But that's the really only big distinction between them. So that's the only real reason you want to play one or the other, is their speed, is their strength of their hits. The funny part is I actually played this stage with all the characters, and it seems like every character I ended up doing really bad or even dying. So one of these days I'm gonna have to pick up this game and challenge it once again, because it's just one of those games that I find myself really enjoying, especially the Sega Master System version of this game. It's definitely well worth your play. And I would recommend it to fans of Gauntlet, and especially fans of Sega Master System. So that's this version of the game. So I'll let you finish watching the last couple seconds of the footage, and then we'll move on. As you could see, the Sega Master System version is quite an accurate port for a 8-bit version of a arcade game. Now we're going to take a look at the Nintendo Entertainment System version. You can see the cover on your screen right now, and I've already taken the liberty of putting the cartridge in the system. You'll see that the elf, the wizard, the warrior, and the Valkyrie are all represented on this front cover. So I'm going to just close the lid of the Nintendo here, pull this off the tripod so we don't have any awkward transitions here, turn on the power, and there's our title screen, and we're going to get right into this. And one thing I definitely have to say about this game is I really like that title screen. I think it looked really cool. But now, as you can see, just like in the arcade versions, you press the directions for like your Valkyrie, your warrior, your elf, and then your wizard. I'm going to choose the Valkyrie like I did in the other versions of this game. And one thing you will notice right away is that not only does this game look different, but it sounds a lot different too. As you'd imagine with the NES, the hardware isn't as strong as some of the other hardware, so they had to dumb down the graphics a little bit. But I can honestly say I really think they have their charm. It could be a nostalgia factor coming in here because when I was young, I had this game, and I can honestly tell you I didn't even know there was an arcade game. And it's just one of those games that I can honestly sit and play for hours. And I always liked all the little sound effects that this game plays, like for the collecting the treasure. And one thing that I can definitely notice when it comes to the strength of the characters is you'll notice that a lot of them can have to hit a lot more than the other ones, and the speed factor is more than apparent in this version of the game than it was in the Sega Master System version, which I will show you a little bit later in this video. And I find it cool that you have like full music as opposed to the arcade or even the Sega Master System version, so everything just sounds really nice and is really pleasing in my opinion. It's some very nice Nintendo sound. And you can hear a small voice sample of the character there when they take the food, so that's pretty cool. And now here's the second stage. Valkyrie, as I had mentioned in other videos for this game, is a like pretty balanced character. So she's pretty strong, she's decently fast, and she can take enough hits, which is really cool. Whereas now that's something I just noticed right now that I'm going to mention. It's more than apparent in this version of the game. It wasn't really a factor in the other ones, but when you can only have one copy of your weapon on the screen at any given time. So as you noticed in that last scene, when I shot the weapon in the wrong direction and then I had to get the enemies, I couldn't hit them. So that's like a bit of a handicap, but it's not really too big of a deal if you ask me. You just have to make sure you don't get into that specific situation where you're shooting your weapon in the wrong way and then the enemies can't be shot. And this is the part where I had discovered where you actually could shoot through like the stones that have like cracks all over them, so it made this level more possible. And there are several places in this level where you can actually shoot through the stones. And the weird part about this game is, as opposed to the other versions where you had magic potions, in the NES version, they actually call them bombs. I'm not sure why, but I guess they figured it's like a bomb effect, and all the enemies just kind of get cleared from the screen, so just call it a bomb. Now here's your bonus stage for the NES version. Now I can honestly tell you, I collected 3 things of gold there. I'm not sure why the screen came up, and I think you had to press start to actually get out of it. That's why it kind of sits here for a little while, because I wasn't sure what was going on, so I finally pushed start and found out that I just needed to do that to get out of the screen. And I can honestly say, I know I played this a lot when I was younger, but I'm not really sure what the gold actually does in this, if like you could buy stuff at some point, but you know, it's a bonus stage. I didn't see any like exits, so I didn't really try to charge for one. And after every stage, it tells you your stats here, so you can see how you did. And it's the same thing, you have to press start if you get to that screen. And now here's another place where you can break stones in this level, which you can see like that one right above there. It's kind of like crumply. And there are demons. There was the grunter, of course, are here, and you've seen a lot of the ghosts. And those are two occasions where you'll actually hear the voice in this, is when your character gets hit, and when you get health item. Now this game, of course, was developed in 1987 by Tenjin. It was released on both a gray cart and, of course, the black cart that I have. I forgot to mention it on the other side, but the Sega Master System was developed by a company called Teartex in 1990 and published only in Europe by US Gold. It was called Teartex Design Studios. Yeah, I was not sure what those weird spots on the ground do, but all they do is kind of just like freeze you in place. And that's another thing to mention about the NES version. If you go diagonal, you seem to go a little bit slower for some odd reason. I'm not really sure. I just say whenever your character gets hit too much, it sounds like she goes, "Wow," which just seems kind of like a weird thing to say when you're getting hurt. Unless it's possible that she just says like "ow," which would make a lot more sense. And the good part here is I finally saw that exit, but I wasn't sure if there was anything over here. Well, there is the bomb, which is our equivalent of potions. I think at this point I was just like, I just want to get out of this stage, but you have to stop there. The good part about those weird yellow spots is it doesn't actually hurt you. It just stops you for a little while. But yeah, this version of Gauntlet's a really excellent version of the game. I find that I enjoy it more than even the Sega Master System version because of the fluid gameplay, and its stages are completely different from the arcade version. But now I'm going to show you all the characters in the game. Like, here's the wizard. You'll notice the wizard, he's pretty fast. About 2 hits for the regular ghosts. So, he's a pretty strong character, but the only problem with the wizard is he tends to take a bit more damage than everybody else, so, you gotta be very careful when you're the wizard. Now for the archer. This one you'll notice that he's, like, honestly crazy fast, but it takes him a lot of hits to, take out the ghosts. But that's the one thing I always loved about the archers, that he can, like, move so crazy fast that none of the other characters can really compete. And now for the last one is the warrior. This guy is so slow. It's like almost frustrating to play this game with him, but he only takes 1 hit to kill each ghost, which is, I guess, is a bonus, but I really wouldn't call him my character, and I actually had to include more footage of him because it takes him so long to get anywhere that I had to just shoot more footage here. But yeah, Gauntlet for NES is an excellent game. I'd highly recommend it to any NES fans and any Gauntlet fans. Well, this has been another Game Nexus video, and I will see you in my next video. Later.